Hello, everybody. If anyone's tuning in, sorry, I'm just trying to get my colleague Russ all as well. We'll go ahead and get. I'm a recruitment officer here at the University of Kent. So it's. Oh, wait. I can see you moving. I can't hear anything. I don't know. I'm trying to get my my colleague in. 3 years as an undergraduate and 1 year as a postgraduate. Living, in and around Canada for about 7 years. Me and Russ will be doing a quick Q&A. I seem to keep chopping in and out with my. Hopefully it kind of stabilizes, or hopefully it's not an issue at my end. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Ilma Russell. What's that? Where is it?
Brilliant. Sorry about that.
Are you with us? I can hear you now and see you. No, that's okay. I couldn't tell if it was my end or your end that was giving us issue. I was just kind of doing the general introductions whilst also frantically trying to get you into the stream. So hopefully we're here now. So, yep. As I said,
hi everyone, my name is Russ. I'm one of the recruitment officers here at the University of Kent. I came to study at Kent in 2006 and have worked at the university since graduating. So I currently work with John and the other members of the recruitment team on all things undergrad and postgrad, which we'll discuss today.
Yeah, great. So hopefully, yeah, as you know, as I say, this is a Q&A, as you're hopefully aware. So please feel free to submit questions throughout, and then we'll hopefully pick up on those and be able to give you some answers. So yeah, if you've got questions about, courses or postgraduate funding, the campus in general, anything like that, I think there's a little question mark button down towards the bottom of your screen. Go ahead and hit that. You can type your question there, and then we will answer to the best of our ability. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a few questions in over the next half an hour, 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's a glorious day here in Canterbury. Really nice weather.
Yeah.
and looking forward to answering questions for people today. We know that this session is really focused on finalist students, so current third-year students at Kent who are thinking of continuing on into postgrad life at the university. So hopefully we do get some questions about how to make that transition as easy as possible. How's your day been going, John?
Absolutely, it's been okay. Thank you. It's been very much enjoying the weather. It's nice. So I hope I was meant to be potentially on campus for tours today. So we've got campus tours going on from now on. I think 4 days a week, is it? Yeah, and we have specific postgrad ones on Fridays as well, actually. So if anybody's in the Kent area or wants to travel from further afield, I guess, then you're also very welcome to join us for a campus tour at some point. Good opportunity that we now have with restrictions easing and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to see myself,
I guess
before
questions come in, or while we wait for them to come in, we can talk about our postgraduate virtual open event. So that will be coming up on Thursday, the 20th of May. It is virtual, so you can drop in and out of it. It will run from 4 to 7 p.m. British time. So it's really, if you're thinking of staying at Kent for your either master's or PhD, we definitely recommend you register, because you'll be able to speak to some really fantastic current students, postgrad students, and also academics from our various schools to talk about various opportunities to get into postgrad programs that we have.
I also just got a message from our friend Kay that apparently we're talking over each other, Russ. I think we're a bit out of sync with our connection, so maybe we need to leave a bit of a pause after each of us has finished speaking, so we don't cut across each other. Thanks very much for the heads up, Kay. Okay, so I see we have actually had a couple of questions already. So just a quick one: is this only for third years? No, not necessarily. If you're we've got some stuff we're going to chat about, which is specifically for Kent graduates progressing straight into postgraduate study. Then, but no, by all means, if you're a current first year, second year who's maybe thinking about postgraduate study, but further in the future, or if you're somebody that's already graduated and you want to come back to university study, then this is absolutely for you as well. So please feel free to ask any questions that you do have. We'll be more than happy to answer you whatever stage of your kind of education or working life you're in. Okay, so I see we've also then had another question, Haley. So, what are the benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll probably be afterward. You'll probably be able to give more of a first-hand experience. But we've got some fantastic academics and research staff at the university. So, really, when you're thinking about taking a postgrad, you've got your knowledge from your undergrad level of study, but you really want to really excel and push yourself a bit further into that master's or PhD area. So our staff members really can help you. We have a fantastic graduate and researcher college as well. So there is a postgraduate community which you can get involved with, lots of help from around the university, and obviously the fantastic academic opportunities. Did you mention you were a former postgrad student and maybe want to talk about your experiences?
Yeah, I did. So I studied my undergrad at Kent from 2013 to 2016, and then I studied military history, hence why there's a picture of some planes behind me. And then I progressed straight from my undergrad into my MA. So I studied MA in modern history, which was really, really good. I think for me, if we're thinking about the transition between undergrad to postgraduate, I found it a very smooth transition. I think I chose to carry on just because I really loved my course. I really loved studying history at an academic level, and the people that I was doing it with as well. And I didn't, to be honest, I didn't have a particularly clear idea necessarily of like a career that I immediately wanted to go into. I think I maybe wanted to explore my options a bit more. So I thought that postgrad was a great opportunity to A, do something that I really enjoyed anyway, and B, enhance my own employability at the time as well, because obviously, having an undergraduate degree is a great benefit for your CV for going into the job market. But I thought, if I can get a postgraduate qualification as well, then that's you know, just another feather in my cap, as it were. So yeah, I went straight through, and it was really good actually. I think because I did a talk masters as well, it was actually a very familiar format to my undergrad, in that it was, you know, the first 2 terms given over to teaching with lectures and seminars, as you would, and essays and different pieces of coursework throughout the year, and then the final term being given over to my dissertation. So it was a lot like my 3rd year, and repeating that, but just at a slightly higher standard as well, and with a slightly different, I don't know, I think a slightly different feel as well, because being in the postgrad community, obviously it is people who've committed to an even, you know, an extra level of study as well. So it's people who are really, really passionate and interested about their subject, which was something I really enjoyed. So it was a good, yeah, I absolutely think it was the right move for me. And then I also received full scholarship from the University of Kent. So
yeah, I expect we will get some questions on scholarships and funding today, which we will cover a little bit later. In terms of the postgrad community, how you said things as a postgrad are certainly different, but can you dive down a little bit deeper into the postgrad community?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I've just got a greeting from my friend Andrew Samuel from back in the day. Hello, Andrew. Good to see you. So yeah, the postgrad community, I found at Kent was really, really good. You know, there's obviously lots of different aspects to it, because, you know, for some people, especially if we're talking about finalists at Kent, so people in their final year at Kent, let's say, who are thinking about maybe carrying on, one of the great benefits is that, you know, you get to carry forward all of those social contacts that you have already. So, you know, I had lots of friends in, you know, the years 2nd and 3rd year. You know, I'd been taught by the same lecturers throughout my degree as well. So it's really, really good to be able to carry on those relationships, and they proved really valuable to me. You know, it meant that there were people that I could then, you know, I didn't live on campus in Bournemouth myself. I lived with people who were still doing their undergrad. So that was really good, in that, you know, the community that you have at undergrad carries forward if you're a finalist who goes into postgrad. But then beyond that as well, as I say, you know, there's a good opportunity to meet lots of other people as well, because the postgraduate is something where lots of other people will come from outside the university. So, for example, there was a guy that came over from Canada to do his degree, his master's with Kent, our course, and various other people. So it's really good to meet them. And then I think because, you know, yeah, you're all postgraduates together. Generally, they're going to be smaller courses. So I think on my course, it was about 30 odd people. So you get to know each other a lot more, because you're seeing the same people sort of in lectures, seminars, things like that. And then there's also, you know, more of an onus on maybe doing a bit more extracurricular academic activity among the postgraduate community. So, for example, the School of History ran research seminars every Wednesday evening. So we as the group of postgrad would go over, watch them, and then we would go out for a drink or whatever afterwards. So in that sense, there's really good just sort of, you know, casual community, because you're all people that have chosen to be there for an extra year, who are really, as I say, you know, really passionate, really interested about the subject. But there's also a lot of really good organised activity as well around postgrad community. So there's the Kent Graduate Student Association. So it's effectively a society for postgrad students. So they run lots of activity, especially for postgrads. I mean, we recognise that postgrad students are different to undergrads. You know, in almost every case, they're going to be, you know, older. Typically, they're going to be 21 and above. In some cases, it might be, you know, a few years older than the average undergrad. So maybe they've got different areas of interest when it comes to kind of socializing as well, stuff like that. So they'll run all sorts of, you know, good events. There's specific spaces laid out for postgraduates around campus as well. So we have postgraduate common room up in the top of Cornwallis East, with a nice sort of roof terrace, stuff like that. So I found there's a good mix of, you know, just casual, informal community that you can take benefit from as a postgrad, because, you know, yeah, everybody's there with the same shared interests, and they've all chosen to be there for an extra year. But also there's really good kind of organised activity centrally from you know, the Graduate and Researcher College, and things like the Graduate Student Association.
No, I think that's really useful for finalist students out there. Speaking of finalists, for anybody who is thinking of carrying on from an undergrad to a postgrad degree at Kent, we do have the Kent alumni tuition fee discount, which is for up to £1,500 toward tuition fees for your studies. So definitely have a look on our scholarships website for more information. And I think we'll cover a few more scholarships a bit later as well, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've had a couple more questions in. So there's one from Yaz. In fact, you've already touched on it, so we'll go into more depth here. So Yaz has asked, as a Kent student, do we qualify for any discounts or scholarships for postgraduate? So yeah, Russ just mentioned the general postgraduate discount, which is up to £1,500. There's also a couple of new scholarships that we've instituted this year for Kent graduates. So they're what we call the Tomorrow's World scholarships. So there's the Tomorrow's World Excellence Scholarship and Tomorrow's World Civic Mission Scholarship. So these are both they're both £3,000 awards. So with the first one, so Tomorrow's World Excellence Scholarship, this is for Kent graduates who are going into postgraduate study. Is 24 awards, each worth £3,000, studying at any of Kent's locations, and it's just there to help kind of cover the costs of postgraduate study. And then the Tomorrow's World Civic Mission Scholarship is again for Kent graduates, worth £3,000. There's 18 awards of this scholarship, so 18 individuals can receive this £3,000 scholarship. And this is for Kent graduates who, going into postgraduate, can sort of discuss, can prove how their postgraduate studies are going to have an impact on the community in the Canterbury or Medway area. So this is more about, as the title suggests, civic mission. So how your postgraduate studies are going to benefit the local area.
Yeah, I think it's also useful to remember that our postgraduate programs aren't just limited to being studied here in the UK. So we also have our centres at Brussels and Paris, and they focus on various different programs, but typically in Brussels you're thinking about international politics, international law, those sorts of programs, and then in our Paris centre, more toward arts and English creative writing, those sorts of elements. There are also programs where you can split your time between Canterbury and Paris, for example. So don't just think you have to stay here in the UK. Certainly things at the moment with COVID and with the pandemic, you may not think that going abroad is right for you, but the options are there.
Absolutely. So we've got a few more questions coming in. Let's see what we've got. I'll point out to everybody, this is actually the first time I've ever used it.
You're doing very well, John.
So this is a fun experience for me. I'm trying to kind of work out the Q&A as we go, so we'll see. Thank you, mate. You're very gracious. Kate said that apparently she thinks your video is slightly ahead of mine because apparently you keep like coming in before I finish speaking. Obviously, I'm sure you're not doing it deliberately, Russ. But, so maybe leave me a bit of a gap when I finish talking. So we've got another question. So do students have any tips for finalist students thinking about staying at Kent to study postgrad? So I guess, just general advice for
Yeah, I think what's most important is once you have an idea of which postgrad program you're interested in, is to really look into the course content. And I'm sure everybody did this when they started applying for their undergraduate program. But with the postgraduate programs, the modules are very nuanced. So it is important to do your research, make sure that the postgrad that we offer here at Kent is what you're looking for, the various different study options, etc. And also do a bit more research into the academics who will be teaching you as well. In terms of the application process, familiarize yourself with what's required. So for our postgrad programs, you can apply directly on our website, whereas previously everyone's probably used to applying through UCAS for their undergraduate program. So just be familiar with how the application process works, and then start thinking about maybe accommodation options and whether you want to live off campus if you're a finalist student or come back onto campus.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd also suggest, if you're thinking about carrying on, presumably in the same degree area, same academic school, speak to your current lecturers and seminar leaders. Hopefully, you've established good relationships with them in advance, because it's good to have their support in your application. They might know a bit more about, possible projects that are going on in the university. They might, might be able to tell you how your research might kind of dovetail quite well with something else that's going on in the department. They might also know about other funding opportunities as well from external organisations. Beyond the scholarships that I just discussed, there might be other organisations that provide funding for postgrads in certain areas. So do have, I'd say, speak to you know, academics in your current department. I know that for myself, when I was applying, I chatted to some of my kind of key people who've been teaching me over the previous 2 years, and they had some really good input. They provided my references as well. And I also chatted to the Careers and Employability Service, because they're not just about kind of getting jobs, they're also about further study and next steps. So I remember I went to the Careers Service and chatted to somebody about my personal statement for my MA application and got some advice on that, which was really, really valuable actually. So do take advantage, you know, while you're still around again. And this also applies, you know, if you can obviously use the Careers and Employability Service for 3 years after you graduate as well. So even if you're not a Kent student right now, if you graduated recently, you can come back, you know, if you're thinking about postgraduate study and coming back to Kent, you can use the Careers and Employability Service to chat to them for advice on your application as well. So, you know, take advantage of all the kind of resources you've got access to while you're here at Kent, while you're kind of thinking about applying forward. I can just see we had another quick question in the comments from Amir. So saying, I was conditionally accepted for above 70 points in some qualification. My GPA is 68.5 right now. Is there any chance for me to be accepted to the university? Yeah, I mean, I'll say, you know, just to point about our admissions in general, is that we do adopt a kind of flexible approach, especially with this year, with COVID-19 and the big impact that it's had on people's education. We appreciate it's been a very, very difficult time for people, and it might have affected their academic attainment as well. So, you know, we don't just look at people's grades, people's academic qualifications, we look at the application as a whole. So that includes everything like your references, your personal statement, any other information you provide us about, you know, extenuating circumstances, things like that. You know, we want to adopt a very, excuse me, holistic, well-rounded approach to our admissions, and we want to make sure that anybody who has, you know, the academic aptitude and the desire to study at postgraduate level, you know, has the ability to do so. So I'd say, you know, even if you're, you know, you're down a little bit on maybe what the entry requirement is, there's no reason to kind of lose heart entirely. Similarly, you know, if you're thinking about submitting an application and you're not entirely sure if your grades are exactly at the standard they need to be, then again, go ahead and submit that application, or at least get in touch with the admissions team and chat to them more and the academic school. So I'd say, you know, I can't, you know, talk specifically about you know, specific applications such as yours. You know, it's going to depend on the course you're on in the academic school, and it's at their discretion at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth pointing out as well, most undergraduates travel further into a certain subject area that they're familiar with, but that's not always the case with postgraduate study. So I've actually just finished speaking to a young lady in America who, it was very early for her, it's about 6 o'clock or so, but she's interested in attending and studying on our computer science conversion program. So lots of conversion masters will assume you have no knowledge at all of the subject area and really teach you from scratch. So you can have your postgrad qualification in that area. So don't think you always have to stay on the same path.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I know there are lots of people who, you know, maybe have done their undergraduate degree in one area, but they've got, I think postgrad is a great opportunity to really specialize. So, you know, even if, you know, not necessarily continuing just down the same academic course, if there's something that feeds in quite well to your current degree, then it's a good opportunity to, yeah, specialize. You know, if you've got maybe a particular career in mind as well, go down that route. So yeah, the world is your oyster really when it comes to postgraduate study. So looking around for a few more questions. So just general one from Kaylee. So how is postgraduate study different to undergraduate study? So I mean, yeah, I'll talk a bit more from my own experience. I found there are some really good commonalities, as I said, you know, especially as the finalist carried on, and there was a lot of continuity in terms of my, you know, social contacts and the staff members I was with. But there was some really good kind of differences as well. I think obviously postgraduate is at a slightly higher academic standard, and that's reflected in the way that, you know, you interact with staff members. So I think you know, obviously academics really respect people who are and, you know, really enjoy people who are passionate about the same things as them, and postgraduate students are, as I say, you know, those people that are very passionate and invested in that particular academic subject. So I think that we have really, really good engagement with our academics, you know, even more so than, you know, I had great relationships with my academics at undergraduate as well, but going into postgraduate, I think, yeah, there's definitely a really good level of respect for people who have chosen to take on that extra level. But again, you know, there's another level of expectation as well, because your students have already completed a degree. So the expectation is that, you know, you do know your way around that subject, you do have good study skills, whether it be essay writing or, you know, whatever other skills you might have in a different, you know, in sciences, for example. So there's, you know, it's slightly higher academic standard, I'll say that, but I think there's also really good opportunities then for, you know, further opportunities for things like networking as well. You know, if you're thinking about maybe further academic study, if you're talking about maybe going from a master's to a PhD afterwards, or going into a career, you know, the Graduate and Researcher College hosts really good networking events and kind of big forums for different areas of academic study as well that you can go along to. So it's kind of hard to put your finger on. There's a bit, I think there's just a bit more of a tangible focus on academic culture. Not to say that at undergraduate there isn't, but you know, at postgraduate the academic is even more of a focus, I would say. So that's definitely a sort of tangible difference that I found, at least in my experience. But at the same time, you still get all the same benefits of being an undergraduate as well. You know, all the same societies at Kent are open to you. You know, all the same, you know, part-time job opportunities, all the same facilities are all there. So in many ways, you get all the same benefits of being an undergraduate student, but with additional bonuses such as the extra opportunities that are exclusively for postgraduates, the extra facilities that there are, and just the general, the academic climate of being studying at an even
no, I think you've really covered it well. There is a difference, and the standard of work will be higher, as one would expect, from undergraduate to masters and then on to PhD as well. But you've really covered it well there.
Great. Yeah, it says great info and advice. Thanks, Russ. There you go. Any other questions in the bank? Is there any other?
I think we've covered the big issue we always have, or the big question we always get, is to do with funding. So we've covered that. Obviously, we've got the 2 scholarships and the alumni tuition discount, plus other scholarships available as well. So I did point out earlier, but do have a look on our scholarships webpage, because there's a wizard there that you can really drill down into the course you're studying, or which fee status person you'd be, and you can find out exactly what's tailored for you in terms of scholarships.
Absolutely. And also feel free to get in touch with our scholarships team as well. We have a great team who specialise in student finance, both undergraduate and postgraduate, and are really, really knowledgeable about, you know, all different, you know, obviously the scholarships that we at Kent run, but also about sources of funding beyond, so funding from research councils and all that stuff as well. So do feel free to get in touch with the scholarships team. It's just scholarships@kent.ac.uk. Is their email address, and they'll be more than happy to provide you with further information as well. They're really the experts on this. Can't see any new questions that we've had so far. Another thank you from me. You're very welcome. So, I mean, feel free to keep submitting your questions. If we go for a significant lull, then we can draw things to a close. But yeah, if anybody does have any further questions about postgraduate,
good to point out that academic schools, the scholarships team, and also our European colleagues from the European centres will be at the postgrad virtual event on May the 20th. So if anyone is interested in coming along to that, as I said earlier, it's 4 till 7 p.m. on Thursday, the 20th of May. You can book online on kent.ac.uk/open-days.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'd say, yeah, that, you know, even if you're just, you know, dipping your toe into thoughts about postgrad study, the postgrad open days are a really great opportunity to, you know, find out more. It's really kind of one-stop shop for information about postgrad study. You can also chat, you can chat to academics live as well, and many academic schools will run sort of live Zoom sessions, live Q&As, where you can, obviously, drill down a lot more into focus questions about course content. Russ and I have been speaking in generality about the academic scores at the open event are there to give
the schools have also submitted videos and presentations, so it's always great to speak to the academics and the members of the professional services at the schools, but you can also watch 2 or 3 minute videos on YouTube which really advertise the course and what the school's about.
Absolutely. And also point out, even if you're not available at that specific time, 20th of May, 4 to 7 p.m., the open day will also be available on demand afterwards. So you can still log in. Obviously the live Q&As won't be available, but you can still log in and access all those videos and resources that Russ was just talking about. So even if you can't make it to the live event, you're still very welcome to access all those resources as well. Okay, we haven't had any further questions for the past 5 minutes or so. So hopefully that means that everybody has found out everything they were looking for. But I think we can probably...
no, not really. Hopefully everyone's staying safe. And if anyone does want to talk about anything, we are hosting one-to-one video chats, and you can book those on our website. So you'd either speak to myself, John, or a couple of our other colleagues in the recruitment team. So do feel free, if you have specific questions, maybe about your application, or just want some more general advice about postgrad, feel free to book on our website.
Absolutely. And if anybody does have any further questions as well that they think of after we finished here, then feel free to message us on Instagram or any of our other social media channels, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions there. But so I think we'll go ahead and draw things to a close now. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your questions, and hopefully you found this session productive. So we have a great rest of your day, and best of luck with your onward journey into postgraduate study. Thanks very much. Have a good day. Bye.